Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. I may have the same problem as. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you holding this hearing. It's remarkable to me that people on the other side of the dais here thinks that this is a waste of time. I think that this is a very important part of oversight and preservation of integrity of our justice system. By the way, Senator Durbin's not here. I love baseball too. And the reruns are pretty good. As a matter of fact, I got emotional watching the 6th game of a series with Atlanta until I realized that it was about 20 years ago. But the league here in the Senate's working. Senator Durbin's comments would suggest we're not doing anything else. This is one hearing of several hearings we're doing this week. I would remind everybody we had a hearing making sure that we're doing the very best we can for our prison population on COVID-19 response just yesterday. I would also talk about hearings on implementing the CARES Act and the Banking Committee. Happened this week. That was another game that got played yesterday. I would also talk about a number of other hearings that are specifically focused on doing everything that we can to keep running. I, for one, think that, that although our leader McConnell has been criticized for us being here, it's remarkable to me. On the one hand, we have people saying, shame on you for being here, and on the other hand, saying, shame on you for not doing anything else. We're doing a hell of a lot here, and a lot of it's focused on the COVID response, but the integrity of the Department of Justice and the FBI, I think, is probably worthy of having a discussion over. That's the discussion we're having here. I also heard some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle speak dismissively with the idea of a hoax or a witch hunt. Well, I decided to go on the Oxford Online, so I had a reasonable source, and hoax is described as a malicious deception. A lot of what we're talking about here are malicious deceptions or omissions. Let's remove deception and omission. The omission of a truth in some of the online dictionaries is actually tantamount to a lie. A witch hunt is described as a campaign directed against a person or a group holding unpopular views. Well, we've seen the email transmissions by some of the people who were responsible for the FISA warrants. Looks like to me they had a different political view. Viva la resistance. So I actually believe that hoax and witch hunt may be contextually accurate to describe some of the things that went on with this Mueller investigation. And let me tell you, this is pretty personal to me because, Mr. Rosenstein, you may remember that I went on a bill with my colleague across the aisle to make sure that we were able to keep Mueller in place and to continue the investigation. I did that premised on the assumption that I could trust the people that were doing the damn investigation. And now I know I couldn't. I still stand by the fundamental position that I took, but I'm a little bit angry with what's happened here. And Mr. Rosenstein, in your opening comments, you mentioned that you had three hand-picked teams that were working on this investigation. And based on my research, I believe that Page, Strzok, and Kleinsmith were on one or all of those teams. Now, I also believe that by virtue of them not providing information to you, that they're guilty of a hoax. They're guilty of a malicious deception, information that they had access to. Now, a hand-picked team, Mr. Rosenstein, would you say that's you're trying to pick some of the better players? You're taking people off the bench that you consider to be some of the better ones in the department?
I would hope that that's what they did.
So do you think that these people would have had enough training and experience to know that withholding that information to their boss was probably something that was a bad idea? I mean, does this rise to a level where we can say, Strzok, Page, Kleinsmith, it was just an oversight? The damning information we found in the Horowitz report, can we honestly believe that these highly trained people could have just said, gosh, boss, I forgot about that material fact when I gave you information for something for you to sign?
Senator, I do not know that it was Strzok, Page, and Kleinsmith. I don't believe those allegations are in the IG report, but whoever it is, I think should be held accountable.
I do too, and I think it goes far beyond disciplinary action. The other thing that you said was with respect to McCabe, and you said he was not completely forthcoming. And I think you may have alluded in an answer to one of the questions asked by my colleagues. that at least ethically, maybe he had information that would have been helpful for you to have. That sounds like a deception to me, too. That sounds like the omission of information. This is a smart man, a very capable, well-educated, experienced person. Why on earth would something like that, with all the attention being placed on it, could any reasonable person think other than the fact that it was omitted because it could have materially affected your view of what had gone before?
Senator, I don't want to speculate about what was in anybody else's state of mind.
Well, I will. And I think it was because they were trying to move towards an outcome that fit what some people in the lower levels of the organization had in mind. You can't read the emails between some of these people. You can't look at some of the, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a solicitor general, I'm not a prosecutor, but it doesn't take a law degree to recognize that these were not mistakes. These were intentional actions, and it's why this hearing, it's why the subpoenas, and why this investigation needs to go forward. Because to your point in your opening statement, the vast majority of the people in law enforcement, the vast majority of people in the DOJ and the FBI have been disgraced as a result of the, at worst, incompetent actions, and at best and at worst, the malicious actions of a handful of a few, and we have to get to the bottom of it.